3, 2, 1. Gone live. We've gone live. We are live. We are live. I didn't even realise we were live then. Hey. Okay. This is the Icecast, and we've got the big logo on the screen. So let's get rid of that, shall we?
Let's go.
Please, Sam, the imaginary man. Yep. Can you get rid of that?
It's coming off now.
Yay. Now, as in now, Sam.
Yep.
Hey! Hi, guys, and welcome to the Icecast Live. Joining me tonight on the Icecast Live as my co-host, Sam the Imaginary Man. Hello, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Shane. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Just come off another podcast, so I'm a bit sleepy. And below me is where she belongs, is Lucy Orchard. Welcome to the Icecast, Lucy. How are you doing? Whoa.
You got awful. The honorary pair of tits is here. Hello,
yes,
Orchard
indeed.
coming in for service.
We're about to introduce those in a minute. So we've got.
So don't worry.
So tonight on the Icecast Live, we are doing a retailer special. So to help us along with that, we've got two special guests, and they are Jeff Kahal and Martin Kravitz. Now, you might not be aware of these guys, but Jeff is the man behind. What is he behind? I can't remember now. With the name
behind
of that
me.
company.
Me.
Would you like to introduce yourselves, guys, to the Icecast?
I want you to finish up what you were saying. What the fuck am I behind?
Hello, I'm
Jeff. You want to go first?
I'm Jeff of that comic shop. I'm in where it is, Northampton. I've no idea who this other guy is. I'm Martin from Mega City Comics in Camden, long-time retailer, but Virgin webcaster. So, hello. Hope it goes well.
Hey, Martin. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight for the retailer special, mate. Much appreciated.
Is that an escape hatch behind you?
Yeah, it's a what?
Escape hatch.
Yes, very much so. I tend to use it.
For when everything goes wrong, he's straight out of there.
That's it.
And Jeff, what's the name of your comic shop? Oh, shit. Where's he gone? There he is. What's the name of your comic shop, Jeff?
It's me and my brother. He's obviously not here.
Yeah. No.
There's 3 stores: Bedford, Northampton, Peterborough, and we're Close Encounters. And
That's the one.
once a year, usually, I obviously run Nice in Bedford.
Indeed. Yeah. A really good show it is as well. And I need to go more often. Oh, we've got Chris. What a surprise. Oh, how you doing, Chris?
Last minute.
Hello, Chris.
Last minute. Decided he couldn't resist. I did get a message from Chris saying he wasn't going to be able to come on. So it's really a nice surprise to see you on the stream, Chris. Welcome.
Cheers, mate.
Evening.
Chris works in the industry himself, so he's going to have a little bit of insight into what it's like to be a comics retailer as well. So what we wanted to do tonight, first off, guys, is to ask you how you're sort of dealing with the current situation with the restrictions and all that sort of thing. And we know it's a pain in the ass. That goes without saying. But how have you sort of dealt with it in your stores, and how are you dealing with sort of the financial side of it? You know, are you doing extra mail order or anything like that? If we could start with Martin.
No, that looks like Chris.
That's Chris, Sam. For fuck's sake, I'm going to fire you.
We're carrying on very much as usual. It's very, very tough. I probably have never worked this hard in my life, to be honest with you. It's like going back to the start of the shop, doing everything yourself. So our situation is I've gone from 4 staff down to 1 staff. We've worked all the way through lockdown behind closed doors, push the mail order as hard as possible, and just try to do the best we can. The trick is just keep in contact with those customers, offer as best service as you can. Customers, I've got to say, have been amazing, absolutely amazing. People, we've explained our position, and people right from the get-go have almost thrown money at us saying, how can we help? Don't worry if you've got nothing to send us. Have some money, and we'll take some product later. We don't want to see the shop go anywhere. And hats off to those guys. I owe a big debt to our very loyal customers. Couldn't have done it without you. And we're just getting on with it.
Yeah. And have you been able to open at all? And if when you have opened, has it just been really quiet?
Oh, sure. We opened. We were allowed to open from early June, but we took the lockdown to do a complete shop renovation, the first one in over 30 years.
Wow.
Much needed, but such a relief. Everything on the tick list got done. We basically put together a list of everything we should have done or wanted to do, and did the whole lot. And it took a month, and we opened on July the 4th. Customers, again, have been 100% positive. Can't believe how good the shop looks now, and we're chuffed to bits. Even just to dig at Jeff with our air conditioning, fully air conditioned comic shop. Lovely.
What a gift.
No comment.
Well, how's it been for you, Jeff? Oh shit, he's gone again. How's it been for you, Jeff?
Well, we haven't got the aircon. We just open the fucking door like a normal human being. But it's interesting. Obviously, we speak to other retailers. I've known Martin for a number of years, and we've all been talking throughout this entire situation. It appears different retailers are finding different problems depending on your location. Speaking to some of the other London stores, suffering really badly because tourist footfall doesn't exist at the moment, and they're reliant on that footfall. We have 3 stores in 3 quite different locations within the towns that they're in. So each of the 3 stores is facing different battles. But we are all destination stores, reliant more on a local community rather than, say, for example, Martin, who's in Camden, will be more reliant on tourist footfall and people coming into the city for the day or for the weekend or whatever. So we've probably got it slightly better than those guys, but we are seeing around a 40% drop off in footfall. Online does balance out a little bit of it, but not enough that it's sustainable in the long term. It's a tough one to call, and being honest about it from the beginning, I've said we won't really know what the situation is until probably January. Next month will be the beginning of the end of furlough, and then we'll see how many of our customers are actually unemployed, and we'll start to see how many people start cutting back on their pull lists. At the moment, it's pretty steady with a minor drop off, but nothing I'm worried about. But the reality won't be coming home until January, probably February, when we're really deep into it. But I think that'll be the situation across the board for retail, irrelevant whether it's comics or not.
No, I think. I mean, it's harder for comics in some ways as well. I think because it's not an essential purchase unless you're a proper geek. So I think you'll find that maybe comics is something that people might think, oh, I need to get something more essential. I might not go for my comics. That's one factor. Something I also wanted to ask you guys is, how has the recent shuffling around at DC affected you?
Fucking comment. Fuck you.
Well, I'm asking for a comment.
Well, that's a comment right there.
That's the comment I'm getting. Yeah. I mean, because they've just fucked it up again, haven't they? They've just, the distributors just went out on them. Martin, can I get a comment out of you?
It's a nightmare, Shane, to shut Jeff up for a second. It is a nightmare, but our partners, if you like, Diamond, have been absolutely amazing. You read all sorts of crap online. People, Diamond this, Diamond that. Diamond are the cause of my problems. Diamond UK, who are a bit of a independent from Diamond US in some ways, have been absolutely amazing. I've known the guys there for forever. I mean, I've had an account before it was even called Diamond. I've had an account there for probably 38 years. The guys there are absolutely amazing. They go their extra mile just to do whatever they can for us. The DC thing is a real fuck up. It's really caused us such unnecessary work. We have to do twice as much work each month to do the orders. But we get on with it. We get through. There's still some issues that need working out. But between ourselves and Diamond, it's workable, and we hope it will continue to be workable.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
is DC
Diamond
a
have been
big
great.
part of your... Sorry, Chris, have you got something to say there?
Now I'm just going to say Diamond have been great, as he says there. Martin says Diamond have been really good.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah,
the best,
I-
trying the best with the situation that they handled. They've got.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with both guys there. 16 years we've been with them. They're absolutely rock solid, brilliant, help as much as they can. Mistakes happen. It's the human errors happen, but 99% of the time it's fixed straight away. And the DC situation, they've been on the back foot one
Yeah.
month after the other. I mean, the break-in the other week, just one stupid thing, and they've gone out of their way to make sure the comics have got as close to delivery day as possible for everybody. I can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah. Lucy, you got a question or a comment? She's put her hand up and now she's ignoring
Hello.
it. Lucy!
Have
Come
the-
on, wake up.
Right, because I've been out of the loop for a bit.
What's a bit?
See me? Can you see me?
We can see you, but you're breaking up a bit, Lucy.
Oh,
We can
please don't
see
tell
you.
me my
We can
internet's
see you.
fucked.
That's it. Keep
Your
talking.
internet is
Keep
just
talking.
keep talking.
Right.
We'll work it out.
Right,
Keep
because
talking.
I'm out of the loop. So is the DC shenanigans, is it comparable to the Image deadlines of the early noughties?
No, this is
Worse.
much worse. Much worse.
Yeah,
worse.
yeah. This is I mean, for
the-
anyone,
DC have basically pulled the plug on Diamond as a distributor with very little notice.
Yeah.
What happened is, so let's backtrack a bit. During lockdown,
Everybody settle in.
Diamond.
Go on.
yeah, settle in.
Start with the dinosaurs, Martin.
Diamond closed down. Like all the shops had to close down. Diamond pretty much closed down, and Diamond US said, "Look, if your shops aren't open, we're not shipping any product." And they refused to take in any product or refused to ship any product, which had the knock-on effect of not paying their publishers. And DC, as far as I understand it, DC said, "Well, look, that for a game of soldiers, we want to be paid. We want our product out there, so we're going to send the product out. If you're not going to handle it, Diamond, we'll make our own arrangements." And they did it pretty much with little notice, and their own arrangements just meant telling people they've got to order from basically 2 other retailers in the US and not even giving a second thought to the UK, who they couldn't supply. So for several weeks or even a month or 2, it looked like the UK couldn't even get DC Comics. And Diamond UK worked their socks off to make an arrangement whereby we could. It cocked things up enormously. But eventually some sort of resolution was reached. Very bitty, but it was reached.
And what I was going to ask
feeling
before,
I'm feeling a lot better about the 2-month wait I had for my Hero Bear back in the early noughties.
that's a blast from the past, isn't it?
He's
God,
just done another set of those. They took a
I think,
while. But anyway.
really?
I think Diamond UK have said that they're going to ship DC now for the rest of the year, aren't they? Into next year.
I think
Into June, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, because it was till the end of this year, but now they've prolonged it now. So that's good.
Yeah. So we've got 7 months before we need to start worrying about it again. But
Before we've got to figure out whether we've got to get DC Comics ourselves from somewhere in the US and then ship them in bulk, or whatever we've got to do.
Do you
yeah,
think the
makes no
average
economic sense.
customer understands all this trouble with DC, or do they just like
the
"Where's my
average
comics?"
customer. Personally, we speak to our customers on a regular basis, so most of them are aware of it. Some people won't, and they don't care. They just want the comic. Yeah, you'll always have that part. But I think the majority of people, and I think probably the other 2 retailers will say the same, is they understand that it's beyond retail and even the distribution and in the UK. I think the biggest problem is that now that they've just dropped UCS as well, one of the distributors that had opened up, the costing is the problem. at a time when
Yeah.
we need to be looking at minimizing our costs. DC, and in DC's defense, this isn't DC, it's come from further up the line from
AT&T
AT&T. You know, the people at DC didn't want this, I don't think. You know, they're comic people, and AT&T aren't. They're just business people, and they looked at it and said, hang on, those people are cutting our revenue stream, go find another one. But the international market, it's not just the UK. Anybody outside the US was just left wandering around like, what we're doing. And this new decision, it says from the beginning, they told us to go use UCS. And what are we, 3 months in? And they've said, yeah, fuck off. The UCS are done. What now then? Why were we told to use UCS if that was always the plan, which is what UCS has said, which doesn't make any bloody sense?
No, I get the impression it was
Right,
UCS who
I
actually
do
pulled
mean
out.
to interrupt. But
Go on.
the pandemic has been an absolute clusterfuck of Pandora levels. But what's happened with normal commerce is people have actually tried to buy online from local stores. Have you found during the lockdown you've received more contact from people locally that you not normally had? People have been sat at home, they've been walking around their own towns, they've actually realised there are things available in their own hamlets. Have you seen any of that positivity come, or has it all been just online from everywhere?
Hamlets, where the fuck do you live?
Either of you fuckers. I live in the middle of Devon.
Fucking the 17th century, apparently.
It's like a cigar, isn't it?
Who wants to go first? Martin?
I only got part of that because it does sound like you're talking from a baked bean tin, but
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot of online. Online went mental during lockdown, but there were. I mean, it's surprising what some of the things that happened. I mean, I was operating through behind closed doors, as I'm sure a lot of people were, and the amount of people came and knocked on the door. I went, "Are you not open?" It's like, "Do you not read the news? We're not allowed to open." They sort of carrying on regardless. But local people for us have been fantastic. If anything, we've had an increase in trade from locals, albeit a lot of it's mail order, but local mail order. Where we're suffering is, as Jeff pointed out before, we were before this 90% probably tourist trade, and all that's gone. So that 10% local trade has now turned into maybe 20-25% local trade, which is excellent, but it's never going to fill the void that's currently left. But rambling, I'm afraid. To answer your question, yes, a lot more mail order and a lot more local trade.
Well, obviously, Jeff, you don't get much tourist trade, do you?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, Northampton, centre of the country, Alan Moorland. People turn up from all over the bloody place with stupid questions and gifts, and but that's a whole other story. To answer your question, we found that a bunch of people that would normally have travelled into London for work are now working from home. They've popped in and realised, actually, you know what? I actually prefer using a local store. In the past, they've gone to Forbidden Planet or somebody because it's easy. One chap, for example, he worked in the building next door to FP, but lived in Northampton. Since the lockdown reopened, he's been coming into us and he's spending a pretty penny. But he's also finding that the level of service that he gets in a local store is very, very different. I'm not knocking the FP store in any way, shape or form. It's a completely different environment and a completely different beast. But we're a hobby business, and I'm sure the other two retailers will agree that communities are built around the stores. I think stores that are run well, and that pays dividends as well as your comics. People feel that they've got something that they can call home from home to a degree. So we have seen a rise in local sales from people that don't normally come in. We have seen more local people having their items shipped, but I'm also aware there's a huge section of the buying public that's still going directly to Amazon or to eBay because essentially that's all their browser does. The BBC website, if you're lucky, eBay and Amazon, they don't actually know how to use search engines.
Yeah. Another question I had for both of you is, have you considered like diversification? Now, that might seem like a really stupid question, but obviously, you guys are predominantly. Shut up, Lucy. You guys are predominantly dealing with Marvel, DC, Image, and the big boys. Do you think there's a chance now that smaller publishers, not just small press, but small independent publishers, might find an audience as people are looking for other stuff?
Well, I've got to say that it's not that situation at all. Never has been for us, Shane.
Yeah.
The Marvel and DC pump out the vast majority of the material, but in our shop, they've certainly only ever been, I won't say minority, but they've not been the majority. The shelf space that Marvel and DC get, we've got probably the equivalent of 15 bays in the shop. 3 of those are Marvel and DC, shared between Marvel and DC.
Right.
That's in graphic novels. Obviously, they get a bit more shelf space on the comics, but the majority of our graphic novel shelf space is everybody other than Marvel and DC. Image are the equivalent of Marvel and DC. They get their own bay because they've been fantastic. But everybody else, the non-comic publishers, if you like, the Penguins and I don't know, I said Penguin, but I can't think of another out there publisher. The other publishers in our store, and I'm sure in Jeff's stores and whatever, get a huge amount of shelf space and a huge amount of our time. When we're talking to customers, that's our go-to. We say, unless people come in and specifically ask for a superhero book, our go-to is the non-superhero stuff all the time. It's the growth side of the market, 100%.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, mate. That's really good to hear.
Chris, where are you based? Sorry,
I'm in Wolverhampton.
Oh Christ! Yeah,
I'm part of.
Probably should have told us that. Just somewhere nice, a hamlet somewhere.
I'm part of. I'm part of Forbidden Planet International.
Yeah, says the man from Northampton.
Hey, I'm not from Northampton. I just live here, so come on.
Yeah,
What
so
Martin was saying, I'm sure. No, the reason I
I
actually asked, interestingly, Martin's right in what he says. Yeah, the bulk of the sales are Marvel, DC. But as I was saying to staff that literally the other day, is that the books that are going to get us through the upcoming fiasco will be the Image books, the boom titles, the stuff that keep people coming back. The problem that I see with all the heavy hitter titles, they're selling big numbers, but they drop in big numbers as well. It's a permanent soap opera, and people get on and off that roundabout, merry-go-round. And we're going to find that as we move into a time where money becomes an issue, we will lose more of those people. But people will still need entertainment, and people will come back for good quality product. I think as retailers, if we're doing our jobs correctly and making sure that when we put a book in somebody's hand, that it makes them want to come back, it makes them want to go home and read it straight away, we're doing our jobs well enough that they will come back. So smaller indie press, I don't care who does it, as long as the product's good. That's all I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I've found for us in Wolverhampton, as has been for years, is that it's the big titles, Marvel, DC, are the sellers, less so than the indies. And I disagree that, for me, for us, Avengers, Spider-Man, Batman, people are always going to keep coming back for those titles if they're well written and the art's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the indie titles. The indie titles. The indie titles are great. Thanks, Sam. Ickman. The indie titles are great, but then you're taking a chance when you're ordering them if they're going to be hot. And at the moment, the speculator market's gone through the roof. And so if you get Image issue 1s and stuff, they'll sell. But people do follow. Say, I always find the older guys will follow a writer. So Al Ewing, does a new book, and people will follow that from a Marvel DC. But for us, I've tried selling indies, and they just don't do so well as the big Marvel and DC books.
What about Firepower, Chris? You tried Firepower?
I'll try Firepower.
Because that I'd call a good crossover. It's an indie with a Marvel DC feel.
Well, is Image really indie, though?
Sorry?
Well,
Image really indie. Is it Image or Boom? I can't remember now.
Define indie? You know,
Yeah, technically they are, aren't they?
Hellboy is the top indie book. You
Yeah,
know,
well.
really, it's one guy doing it. But now, would you describe that as indie? You know what I mean? It's an odd one, isn't it? What does no? But Firepower for me, yeah, I got behind it. Fantastic book, looked
Yeah, I'm
brilliant.
really enjoying it.
Sam Neill, great.
Mhm.
Kirkman, you couldn't get bigger. Nobody wanted it because
Yeah.
We had
me,
very low
personally,
pro-
The
people
trouble
looking
with-
for titles. You know what I
with
mean?
indie
They've got a
books-
long
the
comic
trouble-
box full of Hulk. They'll keep buying Hulk. You know what I mean? What are you
So
saying,
it's
Sam?
collect-
is they can be excellent, but what you have is you have delays and you have gaps, and you just fall off. If you go in regularly, buying regularly, you have big gaps. That I mean, Love Saga was great, but those 6 months gaps were hurting it a lot. That's the problem.
Also, what you've got to consider, and I think these guys are feeling it as well, is that your average customer or your regular customer, of which I have fantastic regular customers, big shout out to my regs, is that there's only so much money to spend. You know what I mean? So if you want to spend money on comics per week, you might have £20, £30. You've got to be really, tight on what you want. So new titles sometimes can lose out because people have only got so much money to spend. They've got to be tight with their money.
We've just had a comment from Ryan Brown, who knows
Oh,
Jeff,
right.
apparently. Hello,
Quite right.
Jeff.
Yeah.
All right,
Go back,
Ryan, how
I'll
you
ring you
doing, mate?
tomorrow.
How you doing, Ryan? Love the artwork.
We've also had a comment from Mira Manga saying, big up the indies. So obviously an indie fan there.
What he said is interesting. So for me, one of my best-selling titles, I don't know, 13 odd years now, absolutely fucking rock solid, guaranteed it will never drop in numbers. And every time they do a new book, it jumps up a little bit. Absolutely solid. It's Criminal. Everything those guys do, Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips, cannot go wrong with it.
Always good.
It sells absolutely steady as Batman. Unlike Batman, which will go up and down over the years, Criminal never does. So give me 50 copies of versions of Criminal, and I know I'll have a more successful business than relying on Trevor Smith to come in and keep buying Spider-Man, which he gets bored of. The reason I asked where you were from, by the way, Chris, it was because obviously the different towns, different cities, and you're in a city, so I'm in a smaller town. Your footfall will be different to mine, as Martin's is different to mine. If you're getting more casual buyers through the door, you probably will see a larger proportion of sales in the Marvel and DC. We sell more Marvel and DC. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we don't. But my solid books, the books that I can rely on, generally tend to be the smaller stuff. Smaller footprint, but certainly bigger sales and better quality work.
I'd agree to a point. We used to sell games back in the day across the company, and you'd find that certain areas, one game would sell, one type of game, sport game would sell better over there, and an adventure game would sell better. And I find it's the same with comics. You sell like, Nottingham, page 45, new comic laureate. You know what I mean? He's pushed the indie section, and and that might be great over there, but for us, over in in Wolverhampton, it's big titles. It's the main, the big DC Marvel. And I've pushed my, indies as much as I can. And I'm agreeing with you. Criminal, amazing. But
it's one of the best titles on the shelf. Without doubt. If anybody that's listening or watching or whatever isn't reading Criminal, get the fuck on that book. It is brilliant. Guaranteed, absolutely rock solid art and storytelling time after time. You cannot go wrong with it.
No, agree. But numbers don't lie. The kids, the people come in, they're picking up Batman. You know what I mean?
Is it mostly younger readers, then, Chris? Is it mostly younger readers you're getting? I mean, what sort of age groups?
No, I'm across the board. We've got like old fellas who've got long comic boxes who'll never give up Fantastic Four, depending who's regardless who's got it. And then we've got a nice group of young fellas who, kids coming in, and they'll, pick up bits and bobs, and they'll pick up, Avengers, Spidey. But it's just one of them things. I think it's a regional thing sometimes.
I've got to say that.
Go on, Martin.
I was going to say that, as you just mentioned it, one of the most beautiful things I think that's happened in the last few years is young readers. I have, in all my time of retailing again, I've not seen so many young readers come in and families come in the last few years. And it's really, really nice. I thought it would just be a fad.
What sort of titles did they go for then?
Oh, I mean, one of the standouts. It's not a title, but it's a genre, or not even a genre. Is manga. Manga is just going through a massive boom at the moment.
Yeah,
huge, just gone mental. But young readers, what do they pick up? Netflix again. I'd say this, the manga effect and the Netflix effect. Netflix again just affects stuff so much. Umbrella Academy just straight, 100 copies to every X-Men you sell. Sell huge amounts of Umbrella Academy.
Lucy, you got a question?
Go on, Lucy.
See if we can get her to speak.
Right, I was born in 1981. Yeah, I was. Speak up if my tech is shit. I was born in 1981. So I was about 15, 16 when I got into comics. And it was the plague of the comics at that point, where you got to the end of the issue and it would say continued in Robin issue 37 or continued in Green Arrow. It was like this. I have met a few people of my exact age who fell out of comic love because there was no continual run. It was all find me over here. It was like a treasure hunt of comics. And I'm quite fascinated. I held on to loving comics, and I seeked those comics. I went into those shops and I found along the corridor. I'm in this issue now. But I've noticed a lot of people.
Yeah.
The X of Swords crossover at the moment is doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to stop. Yeah, it's never going to stop. That shit will never stop.
What's really odd, if I can just quickly throw something in about the X of Swords crossover, how the title of the actual comic is about that big. It's an X of Swords, Wolverine, and like for a non-comic boy, you're like, what am I buying? What's this issue? What is it? It's Wolverine in the smallest type. But no, I mean, like comics, that's the thing, isn't it, with comics, is it's ever evolving how it does. So, like, back in the day, a comic would have a singular story that would continue, but you could buy that one comic and it'd have a full story. Whereas now comics are written for the graphic novel format. And, exactly, there you go. What's it called? X Factor, exactly.
That's called Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
exactly. What's the latest issue? No, but that's the thing, isn't it? And now comics are written in a graphic novel form, but now people are buying them in graphic novel form. That's the joy of comics. That it's evolving how it's presented.
We've got a question from one of our viewers. What are all your favourite UK comics? If I can start with Martin on that one.
Oh, don't. UK comics. What can I think of apart from 2000 AD? You
can say 2000 AD if you like.
2000 AD. There you go. There are other ones out there. There are other comics out there. I just can't think of them for the minute. So I'll pass that one over just for a sec.
Chris, what's yours?
I'm going to say because I've got to back them up. Simon Fairman, Jeff Senior, To the Death. That was a great run, and it's now coming out in Shift, being reprinted, and that's going to be a new UK comic coming out. And there's a 77 that started as well, so I'm interested to see what they are like. Yeah,
Jeff.
Honestly, none. There's nothing UK that I could think of that I'm reading at them. I could lie. I can't be bothered. Most of the stuff I'm reading at the moment in the US, not for any particular reason. I've got nothing against UK comics. Just finding the time to actually be picking up newer stuff to read. I'm aware of a number of new titles that are in the wings or have just started, 77 being one of them. But no, I'm not going to lie. Nothing at the moment. Sorry.
Panini reprints.
Fuck off.
They sell. They sell to the passerby.
They're good value. Good value.
Yeah, they're good value, man. You can't knock them. Yes, I agree with what you're saying. You know what I mean?
I was going to say Warrior, but it's a bit old, isn't it?
It's not out anymore, is it?
Slightly.
It wasn't current. It wasn't asked for current.
I mean, there's
I will backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, go on.
It's not my field of knowledge, but a plug for the shop. My main man in the shop, Vittorio, he's a small press man, and he gets in small press stuff. We carry about 10 to 15 small press. So I suppose those are UK titles. Yeah. I'm afraid I don't know what they are. Vittorio's not here. He's not in my living room or my bedroom. But if you come in the shop, he will introduce you to some UK comics because he's a passionate for them. So we do carry them. But I couldn't tell you any titles.
I think everyone has like limitations of their knowledge, don't they? You know, not everyone's going to be an expert in everything.
I've signed up to Montenero's Frenemies.
You did, because
I've signed up to pledge for Montenero's Frenemies. Yes, and there was such an amazing female cast of warriors in it. I was like, yes, please.
The thing is, I mean, obviously, that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys about. How do you feel about the whole Kickstarter phenomenon? Because obviously, a lot of the times that cuts out retailers, or does it? You know, does it embrace retailers? What are your thoughts on it, Martin? If I can start with you.
Happy for them to do it. Dan, a confession: I don't know an awful lot about Kickstarter. I know what it is. I know comics get launched on there, and it can be nothing but good. I mean, cut us out, fine. If the comic takes off, you're going to want to come to us anyway. So launch your comic. And if it's any good, I'm sure you're going to be knocking on my door anytime and saying, look how fantastic my comic is. Carry it, please. And we'll be delighted to do so. And one just came to mind, Phoenix. I assume it's still going. Favorite UK comic.
Very good. Very good.
Hey.
Jeff, what's your take on Kickstarter?
If it gets product out there and it gets people to look at it and read it, I don't care where they start. Eventually, they will find their way to a comic store of some form, whether it's online or whether it's a physical store. The reality of getting the media. I had an interesting conversation with David Hine about the numbers that are actually consuming comics at the moment are actually substantially higher than people realize. YouTube videos, well, we used to be Wikipedia a few years ago. People are consuming comics in more and more different ways, and we find that eventually a percentage of those people will make their way to a store. So yeah, I don't give a shit. Get the stuff out there, get it in people's hands, be it on a phone, on a PC or whatever. Let them read the comics. Eventually they will want more product, and we've got the product, and then it's up to us to convert them to customers. No problem with it at all. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
spot on.
No, I agree. Is that how you feel as well, Chris?
No, spot on, Jeff. You know what I mean?
He's copying me now.
You know, Kickstarter gives a chance for, you know, the average person to make their own comic and reach a larger audience than they would if they were sitting at a table at the convention. You know what I mean? And if that turns people onto comics, be it Marvel movies, be it Kickstarter, be it, you know, whatever, yeah, it's going to draw the customer into our shops to try and experience more comics, and it's for us to sell them, you know, to show them what comics are all about.
Because a lot of creators have come out, haven't they? Like big name creators, some of them, professionals, have said, you know, oh, this isn't where you should be. This isn't where you should be. You know, these big publishers, and they've said, you know, a Kickstarter shouldn't be used like that. It shouldn't be used by professional, you know, publishers. But I mean, the way I look at it, to be honest, is that these are just this is just another way of getting more people to read comics. And I don't, you know, I don't see, yeah, and that's you've got to look at the big picture, I think. And I don't think anyone owns Kickstarter apart from the people who own Kickstarter. You know, I think you can't say just because it shouldn't just be for small publishers. I think it should be for everybody.
But is
Lucy,
Kickstarter bringing in new readers, or is it just cannibalizing?
I think this is across. I think
no, that's the question. Lucy,
go Sam. Go Sam.
Oh, go on.
This I have found this is across the board on the art. We've all been locked in. We've all had. I'm an artist. I have creative ideas. I am can't go to live gigs. So imagine you're a new artist and you want to go and meet the new comic houses. We've found ourselves locked in. We're full of creativity, and we've gone. We're locked in. Fuck it. Let's do it ourselves. And I think that there is so much creativity that has been created during this lockdown that people have gone, don't care how I get this out. I'm going to. And that's only a good thing. More
I think it's a passage lock. I think it's a passage
during the
lockdown now.
pandemic and create more comic book fans during the pandemic, then fuck yes.
We got that bit. We got the fuck.
I think it's a passage lockdown now. You know, I mean, we know Andy, who's done Kickstarter before pandemic, and I think that's, you know what I mean. It's just a great way for independent people who making their own comics and want to express themselves and tell stories, in a different way, and to make sure that they get the money that they need to get their product out there. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. And like I say, it draws people in to these guys. You know what I mean?
In the long run,
because I'll go, I'll pick some of them. You know what I mean?
And do you think it's all? But is it also just as valid for someone like, say, Keanu Reeves with Boom Studios to do a Kickstarter? I mean, because that's what a lot of people have had a problem with, isn't it?
Do he wants it, don't matter, does he?
He's a really nice bloke, as far as I can tell. I don't give a shit what he does, because by all accounts, he's one of the nicest human beings on the planet. He does good things with his money. He does good things with his time. I don't give a fuck what he does. He just do whatever you want. I don't think he's a shit actor, but I don't care, because he's such a nice bloke.
He's a nice guy, but fuck him.
No, I agree. To be honest, I totally agree. Okay, we'll move on from that subject. The next line of questioning. Yeah, go for it. Jeff needs to go for a shit.
He's got a customer.
He's still open.
On the door, going,
bring in the money, man. You know what I mean?
No, I'm hanging up now. I just phoned him. I'm hanging up.
Just so you can get a word in, innit, Martin?
Are we doing recommendations now, Shane?
We will do when Jeff comes back. Yeah, I just got one more line of questioning, so I'll ask Martin first, and I'll ask Chris, and then we'll ask Jeff when he comes back. He's back now anyway.
Our customer arrived.
Dave,
20 to 10.
That's crazy. Was it Alan Moore?
No.
He knows the school.
He does. How do you see comics retail developing in the future from a bricks and mortar point of view? Because there's a lot of sort of doom and gloom in the industry at the moment, saying that it's only got so long, it's going to struggle, blah blah blah. What are your thoughts over the next 5-10 years, and how bricks and mortar shops are going to develop? I'll start with Jeff.
If I could answer that question, we'll be sitting here up in the beach in Barbados or something. I can't predict 5 or 10 years. But realistically, the doom and gloom has been here as long as I've been in the industry and longer. You know, every decade they say, this is it, this is the end, you know. We've got a core audience, and we're not at that point that we are completely done with physical product. So as long as it's been produced, as long as you're doing your job all right, there is the people will continue to. Sorry, I'm just passing that to that customer that turned up now to make tea.
It was a customer.
Anyway, we will see changes. We will see shifting around. But going back to the earlier question about people now being at home and within their own towns, and they're out there doing stuff and seeing and discovering that these places are here. We will pick up a percentage of those people on the other side of this, that we should see some sort of growth. So, it's going to be rough, but the overall picture in the long run, 5-10 years, I think we probably won't be much different than we are now. If anything, a lot of the chaff will be gone. It will die off. Retailers will be going down in the next year, in the coming months. Some of that slack will be picked up by other retailers. The people that are doing their job and doing their job well will come through the other side, and they will continue to grow as long as they diversify their product and make sure that people want to come in. You're human beings like other human beings generally, no matter how annoyed we get with them sometimes. But we want to go out, we want to socialize, we want to meet, and we want to share our hobbies. And you can only do that to a degree online. There is a world of difference between somebody having a conversation on the internet or on a forum somewhere in one way or another, and coming into the store, having a cup of tea and talking bollocks with somebody about nothing else but stuff, and then picking up your comics at the same time.
Yeah, it's a social interaction. And I think that's something that's
Absolutely.
unique to comic shops, isn't it? You know, a lot of other retail doesn't have that. Sort of, like if you go to buy a new pair of trousers, you know, you don't sit down and have a cup of coffee with the girl selling you the trousers, do you?
No, I buy them from Steve around the court, but he's not. But yeah, I do that anyway.
Martin, have you got anything to add to that?
Not a lot. I'd say that, you know, the doom and gloom thing, as Jeff said, has been around a long time. It's just that it's no different from the doom and gloom 2-3 years ago. Digital. It's taking over. Comixology or whatever are here, and that's the end of physical product. Funnily enough, the physical product's still there. Digital is 10% or whatever, and the rest of it is still there. And hopefully it's the same with retail. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. Worried for the high street. I think as our business goes, it's never been bigger. And I'm talking to somebody who's been around in the industry for a long time. So the interest, the new people, the Netflix crowd, the kids, has never been bigger. The only worry is the high street. You know, you see shops closing all the time. What is the future of the high street? I couldn't answer that, as Jeff said, but I kind of feel we'll be around in some form. I can't move to mail order. I do mail order, but I'm afraid if that was my choice to do 100% mail order, I'd move on. I need the shop. I need the social interaction. That's what I enjoy. People coming in, you give a kid a comic for free. Jeff and I both share this passion, and watch him jump up and down and say, "I can't believe it! You've just given me that." And that's unbeatable, and you can't replicate that outside the shop.
No, definitely not. Just had a message in from. Sorry, Sam. I just wanted to read the message. I'm loving Jeff in this chat, but imagine if he was your boss and you turned up late for work. Oof. Is that true, Jeff?
No, they're always bloody late. Some stupid excuse. They'll come in holding a sandwich. You think, you stop for that bloody sandwich along the way. Get on what you're supposed to be doing. I think I'm quite a reasonable boss. It's not worth it. You know, I was an employee once. I was constantly late. You know, excuses for whatever bullshit. I turned up at work one day unshaven, and I was told, why aren't you clean shaven? And I said, it's religion. It's that time of the year for me. I'm not allowed to shave. Complete bollocks. But, you know, a brown guy, he's a white guy. Didn't question it, and off you go. We've all done our fair share of bullshitting. So, I don't mind. As long as they get on and do the job, 2 or 3 minutes here and there, I'm not bothered. Because, you know, I expect it back here and there.
Nice one, Jeff.
That's the answer to your question, Mira. He's a lovely boss.
I won't go that far. Lovely.
So would an employee of yours need to have like a knowledge of comics, or would you take anyone?
Who's that to?
To you, Jeff. Well, anyone. Does your staff have to be fans of comics?
I think they have to like the medium. They have to be interested in it. Not necessarily product knowledge. Obviously, takes years, you know, to pick up. I'm almost 50, and there's a million and one things that I don't know. And I've been reading comics my entire life, pretty much. So I don't expect people to know everything, but I expect them to have an interest. If they come in and they've got that interest and they've got that energy, it's up to me as a boss, as a retailer, as an existing fan, to give them the knowledge that I need for them to work in my store. I think it's very important that we understand that stores are run differently by different people. And you'll tend to find that what sells in those stores is a product of the manager of the store. So, for example, we've got 3 of us running 3 stores. One's me, my brother, and Lorna, who runs our Peterborough store. We all sell different products. So my bestseller isn't necessarily the same bestseller at Bedford or at Peterborough. And it's because we bring ourselves to the table. So a member of staff coming on board will need to have the interest and an understanding of what it is that we do. And then it's up to us to train them well enough. It's handy if they come in and they know their shit. Yeah, it's really handy, but it's not necessary, no.
And welcome to the Icecast recruitment agency. And do you take work experience, Jeff? We've had a question.
I haven't for a long time. They tend to not make good tea. They get bored of bagging and boarding. And, you know, the dream of, we're going to sit around and read comics all day long. it isn't real. You know,
No.
I'll do work experience for my customers and their kids. I've got no problem with that at all. But I tend to find that if we take people in blind, it's not what they think it is. It's fucking boring. I mean, bagging and boarding. Who the fuck wants to do that? You know, and it's only so much. Oh, here's some till work. You know, well, here's some grading. How can you teach somebody to grade in a 2-week period?
Yeah.
You know, you can't. And would you trust a work experience person to grade your comics? You're gonna have to go do the job again anyway. So, you know, yeah, no, unless you're a
work experience is mine. It's hard work. I once found a work experience reading a Harry Potter book.
Tangential experience. I don't know
should
about
have sold
your
a copy
shop,
of Books of
Martin,
Magic.
but
Do you sell Harry Potter in your shop, Chris?
Now she brought her own Harry Potter and just sat in the corner and read Harry Potter. I'm like, we're meant to be working. This isn't work experience. This is reading Harry Potter experience.
Well, realistically, she's come tooled up for the job. She knew it was going to be boring as fuck, so she brought a book. You should have made her a managerial position.
No.
She's way ahead of the game there.
In my shop, there's no such thing as stop. But
Oh.
like these guys were saying earlier, though, I want to touch on, you know what I mean, like ditto totally for what Jeff was saying. That, you know, with the way things are at the moment, it's all about hard work. You know what I mean? It's about us as managers and the staff to try and get the, you know, customers interested in new stuff and spending money. But as Martin said, it's, you know what I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future with COVID and, you know, the streets at the moment, you know, so many shops are closing. You know what I mean? I think comic shops are always going to be there if we push and we diversify. Totally what Jeff said. You know what I mean? But it's difficult, man, as Martin said, because lots of other shops, I mean, big shops are closing, man. Beatty's is closing. You know what I mean? So many large shops closing. We've got to really try hard and push comics and push, you know, what we sell to everybody. You know what I mean?
On that note, we're going to do towards the end of the show, as we're approaching it now. We're going to do a little bit of comics pushing. Sorry,
Lucy had one question.
Lucy had a question. Sorry, go on, Lucy.
A COVID related question to comic books.
Go for it, Lucy.
While I sort out the
ruin my segue, Lucy. Go on.
Sorry. Go on.
If my internet backs out, how do you think you're going to master Free Comic Book Day socially distant?
We already have.
There you go. There's your answer.
No, I mean, I wasn't being flippant. I wasn't being flippant. That's the way. Instead of it being one day, and it's always been great for us, as it probably has been for Martin and Jeff, that, you know what I mean, you know, social media and everything, lots of people come in, is that the Diamond decided to send a few comics out each week. And so Free Comic Book Day has been divided through like a month or two. But on the flip side, that's meant that people aren't, you know, rushing in to come to Free Comic Book Day. It's not been a big event, but let's be fair, we can't run a big event in COVID. You know what I mean? It's been the best it can be. You know what I mean? But hopefully in a year or two, you know, we can make it. You know, we can get back to them days of Free Comic Book Day being a big event. You know,
Martin,
Jeff?
how do you do Free Comic Book Day?
Normally we do it the same way as most people. We advertise a day, get people turning up. This year we used the free comics to give away and aimed them at kids. We didn't really advertise the fact. We just literally have them in by the counter. We ordered a chunk in, have them behind the counter, and whoever we think where everything is appropriate here, have one of those. Or a kid comes in and is nagging a parent says, "Oh, I'm not paying £5 for that." So buy a comic for £1 and I'll give you that one for nothing. And there you go. There's a sale for me and a happy customer. We just use them like that, or we have done this year.
That's a good way of doing it. Same for you, Jeff, or have you got another way of doing it?
Well, it's a mixture of the two. We've got the product obviously been sent out in dribs and drabs to us, which has worked out okay. Lets me target better than it does when it's a free-for-all sort of thing. So normally on a pre-comic book day, all the stuff's laid out, people come in and take what they need to take. Doing it this way, because with the footfall is so much lower, I've been able to target the customers with the books that I think they're actually going to enjoy, which you can do on the day, but obviously it's the busiest day of the year for most retailers. You can only do a percentage of what you would like to do. So I think in the long term, we'll probably see better sales long term out of this year than we did normally, because some people miss out on stuff that they want or they would have enjoyed and probably put it on a monthly order. Firepower being a really good example of that. The amount of copies of Firepower that I've given out, and everybody that's had it wants it on order. If you're of a certain age, it ticks a lot of boxes, and it's handy to be able to put that into somebody's hands and say, yeah, this is perfect for you. Whereas on Free Comic Book Day, normally you're in a rush because you've got a queue of 50 people to deal with, and you don't have the luxury of that time to be able to do that.
It's a good shed. Nice one, Jeff.
Is that something you do in general, Jeff? Do you sometimes like give someone an issue 1 that you've got a lot of confidence in?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I financially stand by anything I sell. If I pick up something and say, this is the fucking bollocks, I normally won't say that. I'll say, this is really good, buy this. Depending on the customer, to be fair, sometimes I do say that, depending on the customer. If I have the confidence in the book, I offer a money-back guarantee on it. If I like it, I will stand by it financially. But the return on that is absolutely bugger all. And it's because I'm targeting the books in the right way. So, if people trust my opinion and what I say is I think is good, they will 99% of the time buy it. They don't need to hear, oh, well, here's a review online. But Jeff said it's good. He stands by everything he says financially. Why would he sell me a dodgy book? I want the customer to come back. It's no point in me selling them some load of bollocks. That's going to go, well, that's shit. They're not going to come back and they're never going to listen to me again. So when I put that book in their hand, it's got to be good. Sometimes the book's so good, I can say, take the number 1, don't worry about it, and let me know when you want it in order. And it works. I've said to publishers before, the number 1s should be peanuts. We should be almost being able to give them away, because if you could put the book in people's hands, if it's good, they will come back.
Yeah, I've always thought that. I've always thought they should do that with number 1s, the big publishers. Go on, Chris.
I will 100% back what Jeff just said. You know what I mean? It is about, you as a seller, if you're going to sell something, if you're going to back something up because you've read it, because you believe in it, because that's a good book, don't be selling people shit, because they will turn around and they will know you sold them crap. You know what I mean? Don't big something up. You know what I mean? Sell the quality, and people will
come back, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You want
sales. You've got to be true to your word.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's almost as good a segue as the original segue. So we're going to go on now to the final part of the show, where retailer recommends a title. One from this week that you really feel everybody should be checking out. Who's first, Sam? Sorry.
Yeah, who do you want first?
Oh, first, Jeff, please.
Jeff.
I'll let Martin go first because he was picky, wasn't he?
Oh, go on, then.
I've got to change my mind now. This
so
week.
I don't know what I'm fucking doing.
If it's from this week, I've got to change up.
Well, it can be last. It can be last week if you've got.
Go with Adventure Man.
From this week, I'll give you. Where are we? You up there?
Don't change
Year
it.
0.
No, don't change it.
Okay, scumbag. Let's have scumbag.
Oh yeah, Koga, let go first.
I haven't got that cover.
Read
I've got this cover. Wrong cover. Wrong cover.
Can we make that a bit bigger, Sam? Can we make it bigger on the screen so we can see the artwork?
That's what they've been saying to Martin since forever. Can you make it bigger?
What is that anyway? Is that very cover?
No, I can't.
You know.
I didn't get that cover in my store.
Didn't you?
She basically got.
Martin, don't say that. You sold out, is what you say. I sold out that one. Sorry, I've only got the other cover.
Bigger, not smaller.
Oh, shut up. Can I get a word in edgeways?
Make it smaller.
Do you want me to speak?
Yes, please, Martin. Tell us
Right.
why this comic is being recommended by you this evening.
It's recommended because it looks like Jeff on the front there with a fag hanging out his mouth. It's Rick Remender. He knows what he's doing. If you want a gritty backstreet comic, it's a bit of drugs, it's a bit of sex, it's a bit of rock and roll, it's really nice looking artwork. It reminds me of what was that show that was? I can't think. Matthew McConaughey was in it anyway, and it looks like him actually in the comic. It's just really good. It's good, sort of gritty, a gritty bit of shit to read. What can I say?
Rick Remender.
Rick Remender.
Rick Remender. Yep.
Is it Salvador LaRocca? Is it? The artist?
It is LaRocca, and it looks. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it looks really nice. It doesn't look nice. It looks nasty, but it's nasty in a good way. It's got a bit of that sort of I don't know. It's computer generated or whatever, that bit of stuff they do with the outlining, which I don't really like. But generally, it looks good. It's gritty. I think it's worth picking up. Good first issue.
Yeah,
very good, Penny. Very good.
All right. Okay. Next up, Jeff. What's your recommendation?
Well, I was going to say Scumbag, but Martin, obviously being a scumbag, screwed me over. So I don't know. Let's have a quick gander. What have I actually read this week? Adventure Man, obviously, Martin was going to pick it. It's brilliant. If nobody's had a look at Adventure Man, it's been out for a little while. They've just done the first 4 issues, which is volume 1. Excellent old school adventure story, great cast, gorgeous art by the Dodsons. You can never go wrong with them. And Matt Fraction obviously having fun in the style of Doc Savage. So anybody likes the old school pulpy stuff, heavily recommend it. Absolutely brilliant. And if you haven't had Criminal, Reckless is coming in December, so get on that. And that's the new one from Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker. Hasn't shipped yet, but it will be absolutely fucking rock solid.
Excellent. I do love that cover. Actually, it's gorgeous.
It's great. The art in is beautiful. Really
beautiful.
Good.
If you like Rocketeer as well, that's sort of swipe from there.
Yeah, that sort of Dave Stevens sort of look. Yeah, I like that stuff myself. Chris, have you got a recommendation for us?
Yeah, Sam, you got it. Load it up. Yeah.
Load up.
Does he?
Is it Batman?
No, we only find them when they're dead.
Good choice.
Bigging up Al Ewing. Great writer. Been doing great stuff with Immortal Hulk. That issue is on the 2nd issue so far. Really good so far. Really enjoying it. Beautiful artwork. I couldn't tell you who it is. Somebody will jump in there. But yeah, anything Al Ewing, anything Donny Cates. Loving what Donny Cates is doing at Marvel at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, Al Ewing is a motherfucking legend who I am honoured to say I've spent many comic conventions with. So
he's a good lad.
He's a good guy.
Hey, motherfucking
epic beard.
Sorry, I was looking at this comment as well from Mira Manga. I hope one of you has picked Gem in the holograms. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Mira, it's Showtime synergy.
I don't even know what I.
Gem in the holograms.
Transformers by IDW was fantastic. The Roberts, More Than Meets the Eye, and Roberts in Disguise. Those were good comics, man.
No comment.
Oh,
no comment.
No comment.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Dude, I love them, man.
Look, stay in Wolverhampton, you'll be all right.
What I like about this is me and Jeff have both really agreed with certain things and both completely disagreed on certain things. Superb stuff.
That's the beauty of it. It's the melting pot. It's great. So yeah, okay. I think.
And he's gone.
Martin, buggered off.
Oh,
fucking hang on, change back.
I'm here. Sam, are you fucking around?
Sorry, I was trying something. Get that?
Yeah. Can you try not removing our guests from the feed, please?
It's all right. It's only Martin.
Backstage, you know what happened there.
I was trying to get him.
Martin thinks this is all going to be recorded and re-edited later on.
Me and Jeff stayed.
There's no editing on the fly.
This does not get edited. This is just the chaos. The chaos.
No.
It just goes.
Can I just say, my actual favourite read this week was a graphic novel called Flake about an ice cream seller. I just put Scumbag in to annoy Jeff.
Told you he was a wanker. Look at him.
This is what comic management is all about.
Pissing off the competition, yeah?
Yep.
So, anyone else got a real recommendation?
Mine was real and Scumbag, but there's loads of stuff out there. I mean, one of the things that annoys me most with especially older readers, people my age and maybe a bit older, the constant bullshit of there's no good comics now. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Have you looked at the show? Every week there is something excellent. You just don't bother fucking reading them. It's frustrating as hell. There's so much good stuff coming out at the moment. I would go as far as to say comics have never been better. We're getting so much good quality product coming out on a regular basis. It's that if you can't be bothered as a reader to go out there and find it, that's on you. But the rest of it, fuck you. It's out there. It's on the shelf every week. Make the bloody effort.
I always say there's a comic out there. There's a comic out there for everybody. You've just got to put it in their hands.
Every Wednesday. Get there Wednesday. Get there first.
Yeah, not on a Tuesday. Fucking DC. It's on a bloody Wednesday. Fuck you.
And I think we'll give Jeff the final word on that. So we have come to the end of the show. I just want to say a massive thank you to Jeff, to Martin, to Chris, and to my co-hosts Lucy and Sam as well, who was a co-host tonight, who's usually in the background, but he wanted to be on the show.
Also,
I am a real boy.
Mira, your comments have been amazing. Yes, Queen.
Cheers, Mira.
Yeah, thank you for all the feedback, Mira. All your comments have been really funny. Thank you, Neil, for commenting. I don't know what comic you're talking about. Jeff probably does because he's friends with Ben Oliver.
Oh, crossover quality. That's going to be.
Is that actually a title? Is it crossover?
Yeah, crossover.
Okay. That's another recommendation from one of our listeners.
Actually, before you go, can I just plug that one quickly? The one Neil's on about. So I did a fundraiser back in March. We sold off a whole load of artwork, raised some money to try. The original plan was I was going to organise signings for comic shops across the UK. Anybody wanted a sign in, hit me up. I'll hook you up with a creator, pay for the sign in, pay for the travel costs, their meal, and get you some stock. Now, obviously, with the way things have gone, that's not going to happen. So I've gone to a plan B. Plan B is I'm going to do a series of variant covers, which I'll pick as we go along. They will be available to retailers at cost price. So I'm not making anything on them. I don't know what Martin's holding up. Oh, fuck you.
Good egg. Oh, not sweet.
So the first one is crossover. Ben Oliver's done a cover, didn't charge us anything for doing the artwork, limited to 500, and these will be available from around 20 retailers in the UK. Hopefully on the next one, if more people are interested, we'll do a bigger print run and spread that wealth out a little bit further. But if you're interested in that, you can message me directly and I'll be able to put you in touch with the retailers that will be selling it. It will not be available through us. I did the fundraiser, so it will be a bit dirty for me to be dipping my toes into that pool. But if anybody fancies that, let us know.
That sounds great, mate. To be
honest.
Just before we go as well, do you guys have websites that you'd like to plug on here?
Yeah, isn't that what's that? Pornhub? That's the most popular one.
Your own websites.
Mine's on it.
I'm on it. Yeah.
He's watching it right now. That's what you don't know.
Quiet. Yeah.
We're closeencounters.co.uk. Simple as that.
Great stuff. And Martin,
megacitycomics.co.uk.
Brilliant. And Chris, you're part of
Forbidden Planet International FPI. Just follow us on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Wolverhampton at forbiddenplanet.co.uk if you want to email us. Yep.
Great stuff. All right, then, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks again for being part of this. I really appreciate it. It's been a really good show. And all the best for the future. It's been a great laugh, guys. We'll definitely have to get you on again for another retailer special.
Martin, I'll fucking buy you a drink and argue the crap out of you next time.
Sounds good to me.
Fuck off. We're busy.
Exactly.
It's definitely been the most saucy show that we've done yet. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you again soon. All the best.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye, everyone.